What are the duties and responsibilities of the inspector? Well, first of all, the learning objective requires us to understand the duties and responsibilities of fire inspectors. But first, understand that there are two types of fire inspectors. There are fire inspectors that are empowered by municipal laws. Fire inspectors that have the authority given to them by statutes, laws, or ordinances. And then there are private inspectors, those inspectors that operate for private corporations, and their primary goal is to go in and inspect systems on behalf of the company or corporation that they work for. So understanding those two distinctions helps us to understand the authorities for which they derive. Fire inspectors that are employed by municipalities have the effect of law. They have the ability to stop practices, they have the ability to enforce codes, enforce laws, and that is all based on the authorities given to them by the specific ordinances. So we have to understand where we derive those. In the state of Florida, we have ordinances that give specific authorities to fire inspectors. For example, the Florida Administrative Code 69A60 talks about the different duties and responsibilities and authorities given to fire inspectors. 69A39 talks about the classifications for inspectors and how they receive their authorities through those classifications. So these are the way that we see the state of Florida have an impact on the authority of the inspector. Then your local municipalities, counties, cities, areas where the fire inspector is actually going to work are going to have ordinances that give them specific authorities to conduct inspections. What type of inspections they will be conducting, new construction, the different limitations. They place them in a hierarchy or order of pecking when doing plans review for new construction. Those things are all part of that process, and that's done at the local ordinances and level. Where there are no local ordinances that control or grant specific authority to fire inspectors, then the state statutes and the state administrative code takes over. When we talk about private organizations, what are some of the roles and responsibilities of inspectors? Well, private organizations such as Tyco Fire Protection Systems or Grinnell Fire Protection Systems or some of the other systems companies out there, their inspectors may be tasked with different duties. For example, when they install and maintain a protection system for a business, they may have to do annual inspections. With sprinkler systems, they may have to do tests to make sure that the sprinkler system functions properly, that it's not clogged, that when they do have a fire, or if they do have a fire, it'll operate in the way it's designed. Those inspections meet specific guidelines. They may be industry standard, or they may be standards developed by the company or corporations that maintaining those systems. Whereas they have the ability to go in and do those inspections, it's usually on a request basis. For example, they have the ability to go in and maintain a system because they have a contract with whoever they're providing the fire protection system for. So these are all important aspects of their authority to go in and look at that system and function test it and whatever needs to be done. It's all based on their contract and specific contract to maintain that system. When we talk about the duties of a fire inspector, it's important to understand that Nfpa 1031 that talks about the levels of a fire inspector that we have. We know that we have fire inspector levels just like we have fire officer levels, firefighter levels. The level of inspector based on the expertise and the training of that inspector and the different things that they're authorized to do. For example, level 1 inspectors are authorized to conduct inspections. They're authorized to go in and look at buildings to make sure that they're in compliance. They're authorized to do limited fire testing and things like that. But then when you get into more complex scenarios, such as testifying in court and giving expert testimony and witness information, that's all usually reserved for fire inspector level 2. Now, when we look at the introduction module, there's access in there to the Nfpa standards. What I want you to do is go to those Nfpa standards and access Nfpa 1031, which is the standard for the fire inspector. And I want you to look at the designations between Fire Inspector 1 and Fire Inspector 2. Look at those designations and understand the difference between the two of them so that you understand as you progress through the abilities as a fire inspector, if that's your chosen choice of field, that you'll be able to learn the different competencies required of those positions.